Have you ever had to wrestle with God? I mean, just the mere thought of it, it sounds so disrespectful and stuff. So, hey, you guys, you're welcome to another episode, another Shifa session. This is me showing up as promised. I mean, today is one of those difficult days, which is why I'm not sitting in front of the camera and talking. But I figured I would just do a voiceover instead. But I just wanted to speak to us today about wrestling with God. The first place we see in the Bible where someone wrestled with God and where that phrase was used was with Jacob. And it said that Jacob wrestled with God until morning, saying, "I will not let you go until you bless me." In some verses it says like an angel. Okay, you know what, I'll just read it and not paraphrase. It's in Genesis 32 in verse 24. It says, so Jacob had sent like his family and servants and all of them like forward. He was on a journey and he had sent them all forward. And from verse 24 it says, this left Jacob all alone in the camp, and a man came and wrestled with him until the dawn began to break. When the man saw that he would not win the match, he touched Jacob's hip and wrenched it out of its socket. Then the man said, "Let me go, for the dawn is breaking." But Jacob said, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." "What is your name?" the man asked. He replied, "Jacob." "Your name will no longer be Jacob," the man told him. "From now on you will be called Israel, because you have wrestled with God and with men and have won." "Please tell me your name," Jacob said. Why do you want to know my name?" The man replied. Then he blessed Jacob there. Jacob named the place Peniel, which means face of God, for he said, "I have seen God face to face, yet my life has been spared." The sun was rising as Jacob left Peniel, and he was limping because of the injury to his hip. Okay, so this was the first place where we see the Bible putting it as man struggling with God or wrestling with God. And in the case of Jacob, it was, "I won't let you go until you bless me." And I've had to do my own bit of struggle a couple of times, but and today happened to be one of those days where I've just been in prayer and literally struggling. That's the best way I can actually describe what it was like. And it's just, well, I say it's beautiful, it's just amazing. But sometimes we think prayer is just supposed to be a particular way. Like maybe I just come and speak in tongues, or I just make decrees, or I read the Bible and I make prayer from those things that I read. But again, prayer is a two-way street. It should be a communication between you and the Father. So I was just meditating, like I was rounding up my prayer, which didn't feel like a prayer because of all the struggle that was going on between me and God. And then as I was rounding up, this verse just dropped. It was like it just dropped in my mind that, okay, we've just been struggling, like I and God have been wrestling, and that is also prayer. Like that is also prayer, because in a way it felt like I'm not praying, like because I'm just wrestling with God, but that's also prayer. And I was reminded of how Jacob was not even the only person we see struggling or wrestling with God. Here he said Jacob was wrestling with God for God to bless him. Like, "I won't let you go until you bless me." But we also see Jesus wrestle with God. We see Jesus at the Garden of Gethsemane saying, how many times did he go to God? About 3 different times, I believe. And he said, "If this cup, Lord, if it is your if possible, let this cup pass over me, but nevertheless, not my will but yours be done." That was also a form of wrestling and struggling it was a form of struggle. It was a kind of wrestle with God as well, where with Jacob, he was wrestling with God to bless him. And sometimes I've been in that situation where I'm like, oh Lord, I need you to fix this thing for me. I need you to sort this thing out for me. I've been believing and trusting you to do this thing for me, but it feels like it's not happening, and so I'm not going to let you go until you do it, because I know you are able. But we also see Jesus at a time where his form of wrestle is, this thing, Lord, that you want me to do is so difficult, and so if possible, let this cup pass over me and let me not have to do it anymore, because I really do not want to, because it's so difficult. But nevertheless, not my will but yours be done. And that was also prayer. And so for me today, that's the place where I found myself, where I'm literally having conversations with God. I'm in prayer and I'm like, oh God, this thing is so difficult. I don't want to do it. Why does it have to be so hard? Why do I have to do this? Like, I don't want to, but I know that is what you would have me do. I know that it is your will. So I'm literally struggling between my desire and God's will and wrestling. And even in that struggle, I know the will of God, but it's so difficult. Not difficult to accept, but just difficult to do, because the point of knowing God's will is not just for the sake of knowing it. It's not just for the sake of head knowledge, but it's so that you do it, so that you walk in the will. It's one thing for Jesus to know that it is God's will for him to die and know it in his head, but it is a totally different ball game to actually do that thing and actually allow himself die or go to the grave. And so that was that. I mean, I'm not even saying it in past tense, because I feel like, of course, yes, I know the will of God, but it's still a struggle for me. I'm still wrestling ish, and not because I don't want to do it, but because of how difficult it is. So the struggle is really, oh God, like, I know what you want me to do, I know what your will is, but it's so difficult. It's so difficult. And why does it have to be so difficult? Why do I have to be the one to do this? Why can't it be somebody else? And why can't it be the other person? And all of that and all of that. And at the end, I was just like, okay, so now how do I move on? How do I move on? How do I move on from here? Because I know your will, but it's so difficult to do. I don't know, like, in the end, my prayer at the end of all the struggle was just, God help me. Like, God help me, because you already know that on my own I cannot, like, in my strength I cannot do this thing. Like, I'm already failing. That is why I'm even here, because I failed over and over and over again. And if you do not help me, that's how I'll keep failing. So please help me, because in as much as I know your will, it's so difficult for my flesh to come under obedience and to succumb. And so I need you to help me, because if you don't help me, I can't do it. And then that took me to the prayer that Paul prayed. And I realized that even that prayer Paul prayed was also one of struggle. It was also a form of wrestling with God, where Paul said 3 times, I cried out to God to take away this thorn in my flesh, but he wouldn't. And so at the end, Paul says, I will boast in my, let's read it, let me not paraphrase. 2 Corinthians 12 from verse 8, it says, 3 different times I begged the Lord to take it away. Each time he said, my grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness. So now I am glad to boast about my weakness, so that the power of Christ can walk through me. That's why I take pleasure in my weaknesses and in the insults, hardships, persecutions, and troubles that I suffer for Christ. For when I am weak, then I am strong. So even with Paul, he says 3 different times I begged the Lord to take it away. That was also Paul wrestling with God and asking, Lord, like, this thing is too difficult, please take it away. Take it away. But God kept telling him, my strength is made perfect in your weakness. And so now he would boast in his weakness, because he knows that God's strength will be made perfect or manifest. And so it's just literally what my prayer time today felt like. It was more of a struggle There are times when I pray and I just joyfully, happily accept the will of God. I'm like, oh yes, sure, Lord, whatever you want, you are Lord of my soul. But there are times like today when it's more difficult, where it's more of a struggle and more of a wrestle, and it's just difficult. And I want to say yes so badly, but I don't want to just say yes for the sake of saying yes if my heart posture hasn't also changed to yes, and I will do what you've done. And so all I can pray for is for God to help me, because if He doesn't help me, I can't do anything on my own accord. And I was also reminded, I was telling God that sorry, please, I know you want me to do I know that, okay, you have me do this thing, but can you not be harsh on me? Because I feel like all my life I've always had to receive the harsh truth, or people, if I'm not harsh on myself, people are harsh on me. Somehow I'm just always judged more harshly than some other people would be judged. So I'm like, please don't be harsh on me, because you know that I'm only human. I'm just dust. And He reminded me of the verse in Psalm 103:14, I believe, that says, He remembers our frame, He remembers that we are just dust. And so He doesn't deal harshly with us. I mean, if you read that verse from the beginning, so I guess it's a consolation that He's not dealing harshly with me. So that is why He would even long suffer with me in times like this, where I find it so difficult to just agree to what He's saying. And in as much as I agree in my spirit, but my flesh is just fighting, and my feelings and my emotions, my desires are just fighting so much that it's so difficult to just succumb. But again, I thank God that I can trust in His Spirit. That is what His Spirit in me is doing. In Philippians 2, it says that His Spirit is at work in me, both to will and to do. So even in as much as He's requiring these things of me, He knows how difficult it would be for me to do in my own flesh. And that's why He gave me His Spirit to help me, so that I will even move from this place where it's a struggle to the place where I'm willing. And then in my willingness, I also do that thing which He wants me to do. Normally, I would not share things like this when I'm still in the struggle, when I'm still dealing with them. I normally share things after I've dealt with them and I'm victorious. But I don't know. I guess this is one of those times when God was leading me, or God is leading me to share, even while I'm still struggling with, or while I'm still in the struggle, while I'm still in the battle, while I'm still wrestling, basically while I'm still dealing with it. Because again, I share not because I'm perfect, or not because I have overcome. I share simply because I'm just a tool or a medium through which God is trying to reach you. And so He doesn't need me to be perfect before I share. So this time I decided I would give in and share, even while I'm still dealing and struggling and all of that. And I just hope that this is an encouragement for you to. We may think again, like I said, that, oh, how dare you struggle with God, and so it may seem very disrespectful and all. But fun fact, yesterday I could have prayed and gotten all of this over with. I could have prayed, but I didn't, because I knew the posture of my heart. I knew the posture of my heart, basically, and I knew that coming to God, I would have to admit all of that, because until I admit it, I can't do anything in prayer. I can't move on in prayer, and I wasn't ready to do that. And so because of that, I didn't pray. I stayed away from prayer. So you can imagine, it can be two things. It's either you go into the place of prayer and you deal with that struggle and all of that and wrestle with God, or you avoid it and avoid the struggle and you end up not spending time with God. Which is better? Again, you should be naked and unashamed. You should be naked and come to God. He prefers that, and it's better than you stay away because you do not want to admit to that. So yeah, go to God. Basically, that's my point. Even if it may feel like a struggle, He would rather you come to Him and you guys wrestle it out than you stay away. Because guess what? The same way Jacob came to God and he didn't leave, and Jacob wrestled with God and he didn't leave the same. He left with a limp. It's the same way when you come to God and you wrestle with God. You are not going to live the same. He's working in you. He's working on your heart, and He's changing you. Of course, the way I was, and my heart posture, and the way my mind was, where my mind was when I started praying, is not the same place my mind is now after this time of prayer. Okay, and of course it took time. I don't like to keep count of how long I pray, or like, I mean, maybe for myself, but not to share it to the world, because my point is not to prove to you that, oh, I pray for long hours. But I'm just saying, I will just say how long, just tell you that sometimes it takes time, and you should not be in a hurry with God, especially in situations like this. It says that Jacob wrestled through the night, through the night he was wrestling with God. So it would require your time. I've been here now for let me see. Okay, so it's a little over 3 hours, and okay, I've been recording, so let's say 3 hours. Yeah. And so my point is, many times wrestling with God is not something that can be done in just 5 minutes or 10 minutes, because I prayed yesterday, but I know that I didn't tarry the way that I ought to. So I could have just done a 10 minutes prayer and said, oh, I've prayed. But no, I know that was not what was needed, or that was not what I needed. So you also know, times like this, you know how long you would need to stay. Many times you have to stay. It can be done in 30 minutes, it can be done in 1 hour. But basically the point is, you many times would need to be there until the work is done, until you feel a relief or a bit of release. It may not even be 100%. Like now, I don't feel 100%, but I feel definitely different from how I was feeling when I came into prayer. So I know that some work has been done. Of course, more work needs to be done, but some level of work has been done. So don't rush it, and just stay and allow God to change you, because the same way Jacob got a limp and he left that place with a limp, the same way God is working on you. And if you give Him the time and the space that He needs, and you come in all honesty and vulnerability, He will also work on you, and you'll feel the shift, you feel the change, you feel that something has changed, there has been progress. It may not be 100% complete yet, but something has definitely changed. And also in Philippians, it tells us that we trust that this God, I think that's Philippians 1, who started this good work in you, is able to bring it to perfect end, to bring it to perfect completion. So my point of my encouragement is, it's better you wrestle with God than stay away or run away. In my struggle today, I've wrestled with between my desire and what I want to do, and between the will of God, between His command, what I know He would have me do instead. I've also questioned, but I also brought my pain and my hurt about a couple of things. So that's also me wrestling. Sometimes it's you questioning things, or bringing your questions or your pain or your hurt to Him, because you're confusion and just trying to understand. Of course, even though we may never really fully understand or grasp, but that can also be a form of wrestling. And it's better you engage and wrestle with God than abandon. It's a proof of your relationship with Him. If you're still struggling with somebody, if you're still trying to fight for a relationship, that means you are invested in that relationship, compared to when you're like, okay, fine, I'm not going to talk anymore, I'm done, bye. Then you're actually done. So it's better you wrestle with Him. I think it's healthy. I think it's first time that we held a relationship, because again, the point is that fight, it doesn't just end at fighting. You may think oh, I'm just not obeying God, I'm just not listening to Him, but I promise you, it cannot end at fighting, because there's work that has been done on you. He's changing you, so it's fine. He can take it. He can take your fighting and all. Just bring it and come as you are, and he will do the work that needs to be done on you. It also deepens your faith and it changes you ultimately. It's better to cling to God than walk away. And I believe that in addition to me encouraging you with this, it's also an encouragement for me and a reminder, because in as much as I'm still in this battle or in this struggle, I know that with God changing me and making me more and more like Him, in my walk with God, as I advance and progress in my walk with God, it gets easier for me to give into the will of God and to just say yes. But just peradventure, there are times, because I believe there will still be times like this, because today I can overcome this and say 100% yes to this particular thing that He's asking of me, but tomorrow there would probably be something else that would also be a little bit of a struggle to say yes to. I believe that was the story with Jesus. Like, I believe that all through the life of Jesus, He had to say yes to God at different times, and until ultimately He got to the cross. So that's the journey that we find ourselves in, even as believers, where continuously you have to say yes to God. The first yes you said was at salvation, and as you progress in your journey, you have to say yes. So this is also a reminder and an encouragement even for me, that some days would be a struggle, but just even saying yes to spend time in prayer is me saying yes, and that yes would prepare me to say the next yes that I need to say. And yeah, so this is also for me. So on days where I find myself struggling and wrestling with God, because I'm feeling guilty for it, because most times that's the issue. Like, I feel so guilty because I know what I'm supposed to do, I know what I'm supposed to say, I know I'm just supposed to say yes without asking any questions, and so many times I feel guilty. But this is just a reminder and an encouragement that God would rather I come and have these conversations with Him and engage than just abandon Him and run the other way. So yeah, it's an encouragement for me and an encouragement for you as well, to struggle with God and wrestle with Him instead of abandoning the relationship and taking off and running away. Because again, in that struggle, He's definitely changing you. He's definitely doing work on you, and with time it will be evident. It's just a matter of time. It will be so evident that even you will not be able to deny. Again, God is not there to deal with you harshly, but He's meeting you in that struggle and helping you through it. And so I just pray that God helps you to cling to Him more than ever before, even in the times of struggle, in times when you wrestle with Him, that He helps you to cling and to stay until the work is done and He indeed changes your heart. And that the change that you experience even in these times of struggle and wrestling would be a constant reminder for you of God's presence with you and His willingness to always wrestle it out with you and help you through it. Amen.